Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you a layout for Hey Little Magpie featuring Maggie Holmes Garden Party range. As you can see, I've gone through the 12 by 12 paper pad and I've picked out all the pinks, blacks, whites, greys that I could find because I thought they would be perfect to match this photo of my daughter sitting in a most amazing cafe in Prague. So I'm just going through having a look at the supplies I've got yet left. I've already used this range twice before to make layouts, so not all the pieces of paper are whole. So in my mind I had an idea what I wanted this to look like. It doesn't always work out the way I plan, but I start off with that in mind. So I wanted to put some strips on the left hand side. So I've picked 3 pattern papers that I like. Now, as you can see, I've just distressed the edge of this piece and I'm sprayed it with water, and then I'm working on to the next one. So I've got Pastry Party, Garden Stroll and Countryside are the 3 pattern papers that I've picked. So you saw me spray it and then roll the edge round a paintbrush. This was an idea that was shown to me by another member of the Hey Little Magpie DT, Sam Ball. And the paper responds so much better when it's wet and it holds its shape even when the paper's in the page protector. So I find if I want a definite curve, and it's better to wet the paper and then let it dry. So now these have dried, I've stuck them together and so they can be tweaked a little bit more. So I'm just having a look at what embellishments I have left that I would put around my photograph on the right. I want to have it top right is the intention. So I've just got some journaling cards there. I've got some vellum flowers which were cut out of the speciality sheet from this range. And I'm just tweaking these edges a little bit. But I've used a double-sided tape, so it's quite easy for me to pull them apart and bring them back together again. So not only do I want to put the photo top right, I'm thinking of doing a cluster bottom left, which will eventually hold a little bit of journaling when after this has been photographed. So I'm just going through, picking out any grey, black and pink bits to go with it. So I want to put a few papers underneath the photograph and I want to have a vertical feel to it. So I think this chevron is perfect to go underneath that photograph. So I'm just having a play about. So I've used the 12 by 12 pad. I think I mentioned that at the beginning. It's not something I would normally have, but I couldn't get the papers in the range individually that I wanted. So I did have the pad, and actually one advantage of that is obviously you get every paper once so that you don't have to worry about what's on the back, because I'm always stressing about what's on the back and whether I might need it. And do you not always find that you always like the front and back of one particular paper? So anyway, and also with curving them on the left there, I know that the back of each one is white and it still goes with the colours that I've picked for this page, if that makes sense. So I'm going back to the photo. I've took some of the vellum flowers in. Obviously nothing is stuck down at this stage. I'm quite slow to do that normally. I like to position everything, take a couple of photos on my phone just to see how it looks, and then make some final decisions. So I'm going to that piece of paper is a little bit warped, as you might have noticed from the water, but when I do finally get it stuck down it will be fine. So I'm just having a little look at this bottom cluster here. I've added a house, thinking that the photograph was taken in a restaurant. It's all artistic license, isn't it? But I think that would be really good at that bottom corner. So because I've distressed the papers on the left, I'm now just coming in. This is a Prima distress tool from a number of years ago. I know it looks like something you should attack the skin on your feet with, but it actually works really well. And I'm going to distress some of the papers on the right around the photograph. So, as I mentioned at the beginning, I picked colours out of this range. It's a huge range, actually, the Maggie Holmes Garden Party. Lots of variety within it. But this is a combo that I do come back to black, white and pink, or black, white and yellow is another one that is a favourite of mine. And I just find it focuses me a little bit a bit more when it comes to creating. So even if you use a black and white photograph, so therefore it doesn't really matter what colours are coming from that, I do find it really helps me. So I'm just tweaking these extra layers behind the photograph. I still want that vertical feel, and I just want a little pops of other colours. I've added a piece of cardstock in there, which is like a berry shade, because I think that helps bring the colours out of the photograph, because a lot of the pinks are quite similar in this. Now, here I'm going to be brave. I'm not the best mixed media artist by any means, but I decided that actually a pop of black on this side to match the strip of paper on the left would be a good idea. So I'm dry brushing onto the cardstock. Now, it has been pre-treated with a clear gesso. I tend to have a session when I just gesso a number of pieces of cardstock and leave them to dry, so I've always got one in my stash I can pick up. Whether I needed to for this is debatable, because it's not as if I'm waiting for the paint to dry or I need to move it around, but it is what it is. So I've got in my right hand the cluster, because obviously, even though that paint looks huge at the moment, a lot of it's going to be covered, and I would just like it to peek round the photograph and the flowers. So I just keep offering up the photograph to the layout, just so I can see where everything's going to go. So at the moment that black blob looks massive, but I assure you it will improve as I start to stick things down. So I'm just working on that cluster for the left hand side, just adding a few little layers, some lovely bits of ephemera and some vellum bits as well. So there's a little wreath there, a vellum word, a journaling spot. I think I actually cut that out of one of the pattern papers. I think it's the other side of the black bows. So that's the garden stroll, and that's the bonus of having single-sided papers. So I'm just flattening down the curls a little bit underneath where that's going to sit, so that it will sit nicely over the top. So now that the paint is dry at the other side, I'm going to come back in and add my layers for my photographs. So I'm just checking that they are distressed as I layer them back up again. I do like to faff, I'm afraid. It's kind of, I like the process. I'm not hugely productive, and that's okay with me. I do enjoy the relaxation of just picking and choosing and sticking, and the way it makes me feel. So yes, I am a slow scrapbooker. Consequently, this video has been speeded up somewhat. Otherwise, you'd need more than one cup of tea to get through one of my videos. So I'm just checking that I'm happy with the way it looks. I've got some pink flowers that have also been fussy cut from one of the garden party papers there as well. And I'm just making some final adjustments to make sure it's exactly what I want. But as you can see now that all that's down, you don't see too much of the paint. It doesn't look so in your face as it did, and I think it just adds another layer. Also kind of like pops that off the cardstock and makes it the most prominent feature. So I've stuck it down off camera there. Here are some close-ups as well. I so hope you enjoyed this video. Please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you'd like. I'd love to see you here again. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Bye for now.